The Texas Revolution. When Moses Austin died in 1812 from pneumonia, it became his son's job to take over his plans. His son, Stephen Austin, arrived at an ideal time to continue his father's dream of starting a colony in Texas. After Mexico became independent from Spain, Moses Austin's land had become worthless. Luckily, the Tejanos were looking to give settlers land. They agreed to let Stephen Austin start a colony if the settlers followed laws that were already in place. That included becoming members of the Roman Catholic Church. Austin's colony was formed and about 300 families moved there. Those families were referred to as the Old 300. By 1830, the colony's population grew to about 30,000. The Texans outnumbered the Tejanos 6-1. Many of the settlers that moved to Texas were there for a fresh start and to grow rich. Tejanos was Spanish land bordering the U.S. territory Louisiana. The land in Texas was very desirable. It had forests, rich soil, grassy plains, and rivers leading to natural ports on the Gulf of Mexico. This land was good for growing corn and cotton and grazing animals. It was clear to see why settlers wanted to move there. As more Texans began showing up, more tensions rose. The Texans became unhappy with Mexican rule. In 1829, slavery was outlawed in the Texas territory. Texan slave owners were very unhappy with this new law. Stephen Austin convinced the government to let the owners keep their slaves. Texans were also angry that official documents had to be written in Spanish. The Texans were used to governing themselves and did not do so well under Mexican rule. It wasn't only the Texans who were unhappy. The Tejanos were unhappy with Texans as well. The Texans did not follow rules that were in place, even though they promised to follow them to settle there. The Tejanos believed that the Texans thought they were better simply because they were American. To ensure that Texans were following Mexican laws, the government sent an official to the colony. He warned that a revolution could start. The Mexican government took this seriously and closed the state. They also sent more Mexican troops to Texas and had the Texans start paying taxes. All these new laws and requirements caused many protests. Austin went to the government in Mexico City with a petition. The main request was to turn Texas into a self-governing state. At first, the Mexican president agreed to this request, but then he was informed of a rebellion that would happen if the request weren't met. Juan Seguin was one of the persons who led a band of 25 Tejanos to rebel with the 420 men in James Fannin Company and 183 men led by William Travis, and this was the Texas Army. To fight the 6,000 men from Texas, they had to fight for 12 days, and on the 13th they ran out of ammo. All died but 5, and the battle was over. The 5 that served the battle was executed.
Santa Anna was on the attack, so people in Texas had to flee.
You would get executed.
You would get executed. If they found you, you would get executed. In April, the Santa Anna caught up to the Texans late that night. That night, the Texans attacked Santa Anna, and in 18 minutes, the Texans killed more than half of the Santa Anna. So the Mexicans had to sign the treaty to give Texans freedom. In 1836, they put their flag that had one star. Their nickname was the Lone Star Republic, but money didn't want to be independent, so in 1863, the Congress, to add Texas to the Reunion, added Texas to the Reunion. They were scared that they might become a slave state. So and Congress voted against it. So Texas was independent for almost 10 years.